Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be teaching you a great home calisthenics workout, and more specifically in your doorway. All you're going to need for this workout is a door frame pull-up bar and a set of gymnastic rings. In this video I'm going to be using the Duonamic Eleviia with the new Duonamic rings. I have got a review on them. There will be a link to it down below and the website if you want to go and check it out. But like I said, any door frame pull-up bar and a set of gymnastic rings or a suspension trainer will do the job. What I'm going to be doing is going through the exercises that are going to make up this workout, and after that, near the end of the video, I'm going to be talking about a couple of different workout templates that you can use if you're more focused on strength or if you're more focused on hypertrophy, some adaptations that you can make for either of those. And obviously if you're someone that's more focused on time, there's going to be different adaptations that you can do to this workout to make it specifically for you. So let's jump into the exercises. So the first exercise we're going to be looking at is the pull-up, and this is one of the best exercises if you want to build your back and build your arms, and also works your grip as well. It is a vertical pulling motion. When it comes to this exercise, you can pick whichever vertical pulling exercise you want, whether you prefer the pull-up, whether you prefer the neutral grip, whether you prefer the chin up. You can actually rotate between sets or even workouts which one you want to use. There's going to be a bit of variety in this, so pick which one you prefer. If you're doing it off the Duonamic, if you're using this as a superset, this is something I'm going to talk about later in the video. If you want to do it as a superset, I highly recommend doing it off the top. It's going to be the fastest way to switch between exercises. However, if you're going to be doing it as straight sets, I highly recommend switching to their main handles. It's just going to make the pull-ups far more comfortable and easier to do. So the second exercise we're going to be looking at is going to be the ring dip. This is now going to allow us to hit the body from the front with a particular focus on the chest, front, shoulders and triceps. But because we are now doing them on rings, we're also going to be incorporating other muscles that we wouldn't normally do than if we were to do them on the bar. You're going to start incorporating a bit more of your back, specifically your lats, to create that stability. You're going to be working more muscles in your shoulders to create stability. And there's going to be a bit more of a focus on the abs as well, because you're going to now have to create that stability to stop that movement from going. So this is going to be a great exercise that now we can attack the body from a vertical pushing motion. And also the great thing is as well, if you want to, you can do your standard rings, or if you want to do ring turned out, which is going to be a bit more of a challenge. It will create a little bit more stability in the shoulders. If you can do them, but depending on your skill and strength level, that is an option for you that's a little bit more advanced, but you can do which one you prefer. The third exercise we're going to be looking at is going to be the inverted row, and now we're going to be hitting the body from a horizontal pulling motion. This is going to be placing more of an emphasis on the mid back, where we're going to be hitting the traps, we're going to be hitting the rhomboids, we're going to be hitting the rear delts, but we're still going to be hitting the lats, we're still going to be hitting the biceps, and we're going to still be activating the grip as well. The great thing about this is we're going to be able to hit a movement or an area in the back that might get a little bit neglected with the pull-up, depending if you're doing chest to bar or not. But this allows us to do an easier variation of the pull-up, so we can sort of hit those muscles a little bit harder, get a little bit more volume in there, and test those muscles a little bit harder. If you want to make it even harder, you can rotate and get a bit more of an activation in the biceps if you want. Play around with the grip of how you hold it. This is what's great about using the rings. You can find a grip or a position that is more comfortable for you. And if you want to make the exercise easier or harder, you can play around with what you're doing with your legs. If you stick your legs out straight or further away, it's going to be harder, and the added benefit is you're going to get a little bit of activation in your posterior chain from your hamstrings in your glutes. And if you want to make it easier, go into sort of like a tabletop position and bring your legs closer, and this is going to make it a little bit easier. You can, even if you want to, lift one leg up so you're lifting more of your weight. There's ways to make this progressive or regressive, but it's a really great exercise that you can add in. The fourth exercise is going to be the ring push-up, and this is going to be a way of also hitting the body from a horizontal plane, but this is going to be a horizontal pushing exercise to complete now our upper body training, so we're hitting the body from all different angles. The great thing about doing these push-ups on the rings is now we're able to bring the rings together, which is going to fully contract the chest, because this is what the chest wants to do. It's about bringing everything into the midline. So we're going to get a really good chest activation. It's going to be a great way of hitting those muscles. It's going to be a great way of doing an easier variation to the dip, so we can add more volume to get more growth and to fatigue our muscles even more. Like the inverted row, you can make this a little bit harder depending on what you're doing with your leg. You can even change the height of it to make it easier or to make it harder. If you want, you can lift one leg up so you're lifting more of your weight if you want. This is going to be a great way of finishing up your upper body workout. So now let's get into the section where we're going to be talking about how we can put these 4 exercises into a workout depending on what you are doing. So what I want to talk about is, if we're focusing on strength, what I recommend is you do these exercises within the rep range of 5 to 8 reps and do it for 3 sets. What I want you to do is to pick, say, a variation that allows you to do whatever you're doing for, say, 5 reps, 3 sets of 5, and then I want you to keep doing that until you can go 3 sets of 8. Once you can do 3 sets of 8, move to a harder regression, whether that means loading up a backpack or a weighted vest and doing a harder variation, whether that means maybe moving from a chin up into a neutral grip into a pull-up. Find a variation or find a way in which you can make it more challenging. The great thing about the Duonamic pull-up bar compared to a typical pull-up bar is you can actually use these in a single manner. So if you wanted to, you can move into maybe doing archer pull-ups or focusing on one arm work if you wanted to. That's the great thing about that. When it comes to the dip, the main thing you're going to have to make it harder is literally just adding on weight. If you don't have a vest, just load up a backpack with books or anything you have have access to. This is going to be a way of making it a little bit more challenging. Obviously with the push-ups and the row, like I said before, you can change what you're doing with your legs to make it harder or easier. Lift a leg if you need to. This will make it even harder. Sometimes you can play around with the range of motion, but find a way in which you can make it challenging. But sometimes the easiest is just to load up a backpack and make it hard. Doing 3 sets of 5 to 8 is going to be a way of testing your strength and also building muscle. So that's what you can do for that. And I highly recommend doing them in straight sets so you can really put maximum effort into each one. If you're short on time, you can superset them because we're going to be working agonist and antagonist. So again, the pull up with the dip and then do the row with the push up, so it can still work. Or if you want to maximize your rest while still making it quick, you can do a pull up, rest 90 seconds and then do the dip, rest 90 seconds and go back to the pull up. So it's a way of still doing a superset, but you're still getting a little bit of rest in between. That could be a really good way of managing your recovery to maximize your strength while managing your time. The other thing you can do if you're focusing on just size and wanting to get bigger is to do each one for 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps and actually doing these things in a superset with limited rest. And if you want to make it harder, you can actually limit the amount of rest within sets so you can build up that fatigue. So for instance, if you do the pull up and let's say you're doing sets of 10, sets of 12, you go straight into the dip and you would do them superset. And what you can do is you can start off with 2 minutes rest and keep doing that so you still got a good amount of rest to really go hard and try and hit your rep count, and make sure you hit that certain rep count every single set. And then what you can do is to make it more challenging is next workout or after a couple of weeks, instead of having 2 minutes rest, have 90 seconds rest. And that accumulative fatigue will build up and it'll make it harder and harder and harder. And you'll build up a lot of fatigue in the muscle, which will elicit more muscle growth. You would then move on to the inverted row, supersetted with the push up, and you would do a sort of a similar procedure with that. Because you've got the pull up and the dip, which are going to be harder variations, by the time you get to the inverted row and the push up, you're already quite fatigued, but these are easier variations, but the failure is still going to match with it. So it's still going to be a hard exercise to do. And this is a sort of workout you could do 2 to 3 times a week. And this will be a lot of volume over the course of the week. You're still doing 6 total sets per that sort of body part per session. So if you're doing 2 to 3 sets, you're doing 12 to 18 total work sets. So that's a good amount of volume if you're looking for muscle growth. So guys, let me know what you think down below and I'll see you in the next video.